So, who likes fire? Into the wonderful political environment of Parish, several mercenaries found security in numbers. Rakal was a former medic and a rare yellow mage of the 2nd Higdad Army, 7th Division, who got entirely too tired of the constant conflicts between Higdad and Gresh and simply stayed behind when the withdrawal order was given. Tila, 5th of her name, was 3rd in line to House Hua on the east-flung continent. A woman who despised politics, she was a potent black mage who chose one of the furthest points from home she could to escape the intrigues of her loving family. Trixpack, formerly of the Kujishins, lost home and family to a cruel commander's ambitious mistake, carving a livelihood out of the skins of others. The assassin was currently avoiding heat, and so fled to the eastern ends of Parish, styling himself Shadow. Braxton, standing master of the former monastery Amasis, roamed, listless, as he was one of the only surviving members. Amasis was almost ground zero to the magical detonation at Fourmouth Mine 8 months ago. The adventurers sojourned to Guthrum, herein tasked by the local baron with removing local bandits from the board, in a ploy to demonstrate his aptitude at managing the region. The situation was mutually beneficial. The mercenaries would earn gainful employment as the baron's regular henches, and he would gain respect and prestige enough to catapult him to countdom. The adventurers talked to 2 reliable reliquaries of information, Knight Captain Ritmard and Merchant Lord Cosb. Cosb told them to head west, the captain told them to head south, so south they went, into the Aklar forest.
Man, I sure do love standing around all this extremely flammable material.
2 seconds later.
With forest completely burnt to the ground, the mercenaries returned to Guthrum. Job well done. First, they convened with the Baron. Then they talked to the Knight Captain. The captain lured the adventurers into an ambush, under pretenses of payment, to kill them in revenge for the deaths of the soldiers formerly known as bandits. The Knight Captain spared, the mercenaries decided, for reasons uncertain, to just bail on Guthrum entirely. They evacuate hours ahead of the oncoming army from Gasca. This army was not actually supposed to be attacking Guthrum at all, but due to unforeseen circumstances, their commander chose to jump the gun a bit and invade a city that could support their forces ahead of schedule. The adventurers decided to seek further employment westward, stumbling into the illustrious title of the Bacon Barons, as they helped out the local border guards who were, obviously, actually part of the local bandit troop. The Bacon Bandits decided, what the heck, and went with the bandits instead of fighting them. It turns out the bandits were, obviously, professional military regulars of Gasca as part of a protracted destabilization campaign, headed up by none other than Merchant Lord Cosb. Cosb offered the Bacon Barons a lucrative assignment: sneak into Burnsley, infiltrate Vorth's mansion, steal some critical documents detailing the location of Bowd, and sneak out. Don't get caught, don't get anyone hurt. Easy. The bandit Bacon Barons were offered the aid of Arala of Gasca, the Lord's adopted daughter, who had a talent for subterfuge and spices. With the aid of her contacts, the team got the intel they needed and decided to set a distraction whilst they pierced the mansion's defenses. This went about as well as you could expect. While there, they discovered Vorth was doing some extremely legal and above-board research operations, attempting to produce magical augmentations, which were quite rare on Pataria due to a lack of understanding and infrastructure in the art of enchanting. Vorth's latest attempt involved attempting to rip magic out of living Patari, which met with middling success. In the process, Vorth's pet Igni escaped and, the mercenaries, formerly known as Bacon Bandits, returned to Merchant Lord Cosb, successful for a certain definitions. Let's say they were sufficiently successful to allow for future employment. They were tasked with a few rapid-fire missions: settling a local plague, assassinating a local blacksmith, stealing a local crystal snail, which they did by the genius plan of grabbing it and running. The months trekked onwards, and Cosb's overall ambition was realized. Count Gasca claimed Aklar, merging both counties under his newly found dukedom and proclaiming himself Duke Gasca, thus making 2 dukes of the Parish Isles. Cosb was granted the county of Aklar in recognition for his services, among other things. The party had, over the course of their adventures, learned that someone had deliberately sabotaged Fournmouth under the orders of the former Baron Bowd. Bowd himself had fled into the safety of the intelligence network, but was unable to keep himself from adventurer grip. And in the capture, he confessed that sabotage was not his order, but rather he was operating under the direct orders from Duke Pylair. Pylair, it seems, had been approached by a group calling themselves the Vorsat. These foreigners, claiming to be from the mostly unknown Westflung continent, had been slowly approaching various leaders across the continent, including the King of Gresh and the King of Zoswade. Their offer: a joint military alliance to pool resources and strengthen positions. The Vorsat representatives were well informed, polite, and knew exactly how to get people's attention and cooperation. Pylair, suspicious, spent his not inconsiderable resources looking into their affairs, and determined a pattern of action that showed the Vorsat were slowly reorganizing who reported to whom, and supporting only those who capitulated with wealth and resources. Given time, the intent was that the duly appointed, legally ratified leaders of nations would willingly serve the Vorsat, thus changing flags without a fight, and Pylair was having none of that. His efforts uncovered that the Vorsat were especially interested in one thing in particular: magicite. Sabotaging the Fournmouth mine was the next logical step of coordinated resistance. No one realized what the consequences of sabotage would be. With their sphere of knowledge and influence slowly expanding, it was only a matter of time before the Vorsat reached out to our intrepid adventurers specifically. Naturally, the ambassador offered them information and, what the mercenaries sought most, employment. The gentleman was polite, well-informed, and only rarely lied to them. This meant he was by far more pleasant to deal with than their previous paymasters. You can probably imagine their response, but even he was surprised that the entire troop signed up willingly. It would be many more years before these events would evolve further. With the aid of the mercenary adventurers, the peaceful, gradual conquest of Pataria proceeded apace. By the time the Vorsat hegemony offered official first contact with the planet, a sufficient number of its legitimate leadership were already on their side, and formally petitioned for admission into the hegemony as a member race.